Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Focus on Liberia. My name is Dennis Jai, and we are broadcasting from Atlanta, Georgia. In our broadcast today, we're going to be talking about the trash crisis. And someone said this is trash epidemic in Monrovia and the surrounding cities. And we're going to talk trash today. And when we say talk trash, we're going to talk about the garbage that is in our capital city, Monrovia. With me to discuss that, people that are connected with trash. Ansu Dualu, this guy loves trash. Ansu, welcome to Focus in Liberia.
Thank you. Thank you so much, brother.
Another person who loves trash, and every day you see when you watch the video, he's cleaning trash in Monrovia. That's Fubbi Henries. Fubbi, welcome to Focus on Liberia.
Thank you. It's a pleasure.
Another trash guy, as we talk trash today, is Dr. Morris Tennessee Koffa. Dr. Koffa, welcome to Trash Talking.
Thank you. Thank you.
I'm glad that we all here, and I said, let's talk trash. It's no secret, the trash in Monrovia and its environs. We're talking about Monrovia, Painesville, all over the place, Dualu, everywhere else we see trash. And so that's why we are having this conversation tonight. Let's talk about the garbage in Monrovia. I want to welcome you. And this is not your first time on Focus on Liberia. Fubbi is joining us from Monrovia. Fubbi, welcome. And your opening statement and a little bit about yourself that you want to share.
Well, I'm Fubbi Henries. By profession, I'm an accountant by profession, but I'm also involved in the politics. And if you've been following me, I'm also passionate and an advocate of justice and a member of the Alternative National Congress, currently the National Treasurer. And I'm passionate about seeing a better Liberia. So all those things that concern making Liberia better concerns me, and I have to keep pushing and talking about them as and when I can have the opportunity to. And I'm also married to Jebe Henries and also have 7 girls children.
7. Good job, Fubbi. Thank you. Dr. Koffa.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much. And thank you, Dennis, for once again inviting me into your program. And I'm glad to share this platform with 2 distinguished Liberians, Ansu Dualu and Fubbi Henries. And the topic we're talking about here today is about trash. And by way of introduction, actually, I am a Liberian, and by profession, I'm an environmental engineer. I work with the government here in the District of Columbia, Washington, D.C. I also hold my PhD in disaster management, and I did my dissertation on flooding in Liberia in 2018. And the issue of trash has been a story that all of us have listened to some way, somehow. And I think the conversation today that I will be driving home is what do we do to clean the pile of garbage in the streets of Monrovia, Painesville, West Point, New Town, and other areas. And that call, which is a call for action, it needs a coalition that will work hand in hand to help the government of Liberia, because from all indication, it appears that they are all overwhelmed.
Ansu?
Yeah, for me, it's straightforward for me. I've been involved in sanitation since 2007 in Liberia. I took my outfit to Liberia, so most of you guys heard me talking about trash. I talk about it all the time. This is the only thing I think about. I have a proposal that currently sits on the president's desk. Literally, there's a solution to our trash problem yesterday. And that solution will cost the government literally zero money. They have to take a look at it. They have to listen. The solutions are there. We can provide that for them. And most importantly, if my proposal recommends we'll create 200 permanent jobs in year 1. If they're willing to take on this proposal, it will cost the government nothing. And I will explain some of these recommendations here tonight. People don't understand. This trash issue is a socio-economic issue. It is the reason why we are stagnated today. There's a lot of issues we're discussing there, but sanitation is a very crucial part of any kind of economic development. And we've been pushing this for over 15 years in the country. Anybody who lives in Monrovia probably heard about me, saw me somewhere talking about trash, carrying sanitation trucks everywhere, and hopefully somebody can listen because it's literally hurting the country.
Thank you, Ansu. And I told you, all these guys love trash. Let me start with Fubbi. What has been your involvement? I know I watch you, I see you cleaning these drainages. So let's talk about your connection with trash, with garbage, especially in the Monrovia area.
Yeah, several things that I do. One is also to bring government's attention to what they neglect. And you pass around the city, you see stockpile of garbage, and government does not have, a certain point, they never had a routine pickup time. And so you have garbage pile up for 6, 7, 8, 9 months of one location, and right around people dwelling places, right around marketplaces. And so I made that my duty sometime 2018, 2019. I moved from place to place, from garbage site to garbage site, highlighting them and calling government attention to ensure that they are picked up on schedule, and that to an extent claim their attention, and they started some routine pickup. And there are some places also right now that they have stockpile of garbage. Today you go there, you don't see any garbage because of the pressure that was placed on the government's back to ensure that they are cleared from there. And also I work with communities also to ensure that we help to relieve them from the impact of flooding. And some of the cause of the flooding in these communities also is due to garbage being dumped into the waterway. People use the waterways as their dump sites during the dry season, and it tends to hurt them during the rainy season, because after clogging the drainages, the first heavy rain that falls, definitely the water will not find free passage, so it ends up into their homes. And so we have also embarked on, and people use the swamp, like we were talking earlier about the population growth. And people leave the interior, they come to Monrovia because of the living standards between the two. The gap is so wide, so they don't want to return to the rural area. So they find Monrovia more habitable to live, and they turn out to start living in some of these swampy areas. And the solution for them is to fill those swampy areas with dirt. So they collect plastic and other waste material and stock them into these places, and also use them to build places for them to sleep. And during the dry season, it's cool for them to sleep. But as soon as the rain starts, all their places are flooded, because those are waterlogged area that they are using as site to build their houses. And so we have been raising the awareness. Besides just going there to clean the drainages, we also let them know that, look, you have to put in measures to clean or stop dumping that in the waterways, and also calling government attention to see how they can work with the communities to ensure that they prevent some of these things from happening. Because at the end of the day, when these disasters take place, it also falls on the back of government. Not only left with the citizens and the residents of those communities. So those are some of the things that we've been doing to intervene to see how we can bring people's attention to these kind of conditions that we're living under currently.
Thank you. Dr. Koffa, what is your involvement, and why you chose this trash thing?
Well, I have been, like I said earlier, I am an environmental engineer by profession, and all aspects of environment concern me. I've been dealing with the environmental issue in Liberia since Judy Bryant administration. I was one of those who were in Ghana during the peace conference, represented EULA, and participated up to the time of his election. And one of the things we did was we moved to Liberia. He invited us there before the induction ceremony. At that time, Ophelia Huff, who was then the mayor of the city of Monrovia, we engaged in the cleanup campaign because the city was very filthy, and delegates were coming in for the ceremony. And so we offer our time. And that time we were under the umbrella of EULA, the Union of Liberian Association in America. And we cleaned up that city. And at the end of the day, people begin to ask, so now you have done this, how are you going to sustain it? Is there going to be a continuation? And from there, we decided to move forward. And since then, we have been, my organization, the Africa Environmental Watch, have been working with the EPA of Liberia during the time of Ben Donny administration, Ian Voheri, Nat Blama, and now Professor Winston Tappin. we have brought 3 of the past leadership to the United States here to introduce them to their counterpart. We signed memorandum of understanding with universities and other institutions to build capacity for the EPA and to also create educational awareness program. As a result of that, we were able to develop a curriculum for Stella Maris Polytechnic. And the first graduate came out, I think, 2 years ago. We developed that curriculum. And so that educational component of environmental awareness, it was something that we initiated. And we wanted for the EPA to take it further so that the issue of education should be paramount to the whole effort of eradicating or at least reducing the impact of environmental issue. But up to yet, the EPA of Liberia spent less than 1.5% of the total budget towards education. So it is almost like nothing is happening because when the people are not educated, when they do not know what they are up against in terms of their health, their social well-being, and their economic well-being, chances are they can be part of the solution. And this is why we keep going around this circle over and over. Because at this point in time, it's not what Ansu can do, or it's not what Fubbi can do, or what Maurice Koffa can do, but it has to be a coalition or team of coalition Liberians. We must take that movement and get the government involved and move into Liberia and find way to clean the trash. And not only clean the trash, we should be able to find way to sustain it because we can't clean it and turn our back and people put the trash back there. So we have to work with the government to make sure policies are in place, and those policies are not only in place, but they must be enforceable, so that we will be able to keep Liberia clean because no business thrives in any poor environmental condition. And I think my buddies here know that very well. No business can thrive in that kind of condition. And so this is why we are making this effort to work together from the coalition perspective to make sure that we keep Monrovia and Pennsylvania and the rest of the vulnerable community clean.
Thank you. And so if you can adjust your camera, okay.
No, I will sit up.
Right.
Well,
please sit up. This trash. You love this trash thing.
No.
What's your own involvement with trash? I know you see money in everything.
Yes, my thing. I'm frustrated with the issue of trash in Liberia. I want to commend Fubbi for what Fubbi does. I watch most of his videos. He will go around cleaning these places. But I will say to the brother, good riddance. It is good that is being done, but this is not sustainable. What we've recommended to the government. You talk about sustainability, Dr. Koffa. This is what exactly my proposal recommends. I've told the government, I'm willing to collateralize the first $1 million, but the government got to meet me halfway. Look, this thing cannot be done by the government. What we've known, what we've seen, when I took my last proposal to the city in 2019, I met anybody you can name in government, I met them. They understand what I proposed to them. The government has to understand something. Because I'm sick and tired of talking about the trials because our people are dying. I will give you some statistics tonight, and I want you to understand this. There are thousands, millions of dollars out there that Liberia can get tomorrow if they just put in place the right people and the right mechanism to get those monies, okay? This is what I do for a living. I write proposals for giant companies. And some of these proposals, the government is sitting on an opportunity to clean the city and sustain this operation in Liberia. What Fubbi is doing is great, but it's not sustainable. What we are proposing is entirely sustainable. We are willing to do whatever it takes to clean the trash out of Monrovia. Look, Monrovia doesn't even have trash. The trash we're looking for, Monrovia doesn't have. This is how far we've come. Okay, in 2007, people that have heard me talk before know what I've done. I took the first porta potties in Liberia. I took them to Liberia. If you saw those giant tanker trucks around the city, that was my company. We were literally looking for poo-poo. So there was a very long period from 2007 all the way to 2015. I ran my operations in Liberia. And then I realized the biggest issue in the city, even though we had the issue with liquid waste, but the major issue pressing was the solid waste around the city, the dump pile, as you call it. Our operation, what we are proposing, is entirely Liberian approach. There will be no dump pile anywhere in Monrovia. It will fund itself. The government will have to pay no money. What we recommend to the government, whatever money they input into this thing will be refunded back to them. But the way the system is set up, look, the government bringing these giant trucks and these giant caterpillars or these front end loaders, and they will dig these giant holes, and they will take the garbage from Dualu and they will dump it over in town. Okay, I don't live too far from one town. They will dump it over there. The next day, water will set in that hole. And what's happening is people will dump the trash there because they have not provided any avenue to make sure the trash doesn't come back there. Our proposal addresses that. I've told
Okay.
Liberian government, I will quit my job today and come to Liberia. If you don't want to do this, we sign the contract. Whatever money I spend, the government refunds it if it works. If it doesn't work, I take the loss. But nobody will listen. I sat with Koji, Honorable Koji, one-on-one. He came to Boston, Massachusetts. We met in Cambridge, Mass. We had a lunch. He said, Dualu, come to Liberia. I wrote a massive proposal. I went to Liberia. I can't discuss some of the details, but it disgusts me what's happening in the country. There are dire situations in the country as it stands right now. When the solution sits right there, the solution is there. If they allow it today, in 3 to 6 months, we become functional, 100% Liberian owned. The government would not have to spend a dime. But there is something people don't understand with the trash collection in the city. This is a government entity. No private entity can just walk into the country and start collecting trash without government approval. People have to understand that.
Thank you,
I
Dualu.
want the Bill Gates Foundation. I want you to understand this.
Yeah,
The
we'll
Norwegian
come to
fund.
the details.
No. I want people to hear this. All these organizations are willing to give Liberia the money, but they cannot give it to an individual. The government must spearhead this approach. If you put people in charge who don't know how to get this money, we are dying. Our kids are dying. This is desperate. The reason why I'm frustrated because I've been doing this since 2007. In fact, it's come to the point where I got so frustrated, I just decided to build in the country and just forget about sanitation. But how can I turn my eye off of Liberia when I see the desperate conditions in the city? Fubbi talked about cleaning the drainages. Look, the plastic in those drainages, I want them. The trash. Look, why are we even putting zinc on top of our roof in 2021 when we got trash in the country? Why are we only putting rubber plastics from Guinea, rubber pen, rubber chairs when we want to create a factory in Liberia. I am a Liberian-born citizen. I was born right in JFK. Like we were just speaking, my mom from Riverside, my father from Bomi County. I'm not a foreigner. The solution is there. We spoke to the highest echelon in government. They understand it. My proposal sits on their desk. The reason why I'm frustrated because our kids are dying and nothing is being done.
Thank you. And we'll get more into that. It's really frustrating because you were on this platform before talking about the same trash. Fubbi, where the trash in Monrovia, where is it coming from? What's generating all this dirt and the garbage? I mean, places like Benson Street. I was in Monrovia after 21 years at 2017, and even places where we never had garbage before. It's taking. Where is it coming from?
No, we are the ones that are definitely creating them. So, like before, for example, in the 80s, while growing up here, we drank tap water. So we're not having sachet water all around. Now, everywhere you pass, you have sachet water because there's no safe drinking water anywhere. So you don't open tap to your home to drink. So you have those. You visit different marketplaces. Every goods you buy, they have to put in some kind of plastic bag. So when you carry them home, you're not going to keep the plastic bag or do anything with it. After that, you're going to put your bitter ball, onion, all of that in it and send it to the dump site. So all of these waste, like Opa said, we're generating them, but there is no recycling for them. So we just have to throw them in the dump sites. So at the end of the day, people also use them to, like I said earlier, to fill these swamps because they want to build homes for themselves. Because after leaving the rural areas, they don't want to return because the living standard there is far. The gap between living in the rural areas and Monrovia is far and wide. So I'd rather sleep in a swamp if I can afford to have a roof over my head. During the rainy season, I can go and hang with somebody for a few months and go at the dry season. I return back to my house. So I prefer that to go into the rural area where I will have to struggle to make a phone call, where I will have to walk for 2-3 hours to get to one health center, where my children will have to walk to go to school. All of these things are constraints that people face in the rural areas that when they come to Monrovia, they want to stay. And so we will always generate the trash on a daily basis. And at the end of the day, once you live in, you have to produce trash. That one is just a normal thing. You can avoid that. So we are the producers of the trash, but there's no second use of them after us. So we have to keep stockpiling them either in the swamp, in the waterway, or on the streets.
Right. Someone may say, Dennis, you stay too long in America. Is there any place, let's say I'm in the market or I'm in my house in Jokweta market or I'm in Bannersville. Is there anywhere designated for us to put our trash?
Yeah, we have few areas, but like I said earlier, some of the distances to even get to those places are far. So people will not take their time to take, like for here I live Old Matadi. The dump site that we have closer recommended by government is either in Fiamma where we have the Pupu factory, or Rototown where we have around the EROU barracks, or somewhere around 12th Street. So the closest will be Fiamma, next is Rototown or the 12th Street. So I will not want to take my garbage all the way over there. So I prefer giving it to somebody and say, look, man, collect this garbage for me. So somebody to come and pick our garbage. I want to collect it on a daily, two or three times a week. People that said building in the swamp also will tell them, say, look, instead of carrying your garbage to the dump site recommended by government, can't dump it here because I want to fill the place. So they keep stockpiling these areas. So they become a regular dump site on a daily basis for all of us. And those that also don't want to afford to pay the little $5 per month or $50 per trip, will also decide, say, look, since I can't do this, let me just wait in the night. I just throw it somewhere. So you also have these things stockpiled, and there's no garbage bin also that we say
Right.
to segregate to segregate the trash. Put plastic in here, put glass in here, put paper in here, and put this. So none of those things are also available. So we mix all of them and we just dump them.
So in homes, I'm not talking about if you live to downtown. If you're in central Monrovia, are there no garbage bins to put the trash and then the city come and collects the garbage? Do we have anything like that at all?
There are a few guys that do mobile collection, and they roll the trash bins and move around to collect them. And some of them put their wheelbarrows and move from house to house to collect. So, like I said, and you are doing it for a fee. Some people don't want to pay that fee, so they will prefer waiting for you to leave. And in the night when nobody's watching, they throw their trash. So you definitely wake up in the morning to see trash on the streets, because I don't want to pay that $50 or $150 on a daily basis to those that are collecting the trash. So I have to find a shortcut. And those also that are paying the guys, the guys will collect, and they also have designated site that they have to roll their weeds to go and dump them. And when they dump them, also government probably sometimes takes forever to go and clear them. To the extent that we're even using the beaches as some of the places to dump trash.
Yep.
As recommended sites by the MCC.
Correct.
Using the beaches for people to go and dump trash.
Correct.
Using the market area, you go to Joquentown, they also use the market. White people go and buy, people sit down to sell. They
Correct.
use Joquentown also as a point for dumping. So you find the whole community around Jarlastown, 9th Street, and somewhere around Seta, they all move to the Joquentown market to dump the trash. So people are practically sitting down in the field, the flies, the stench, everything on a daily basis. So these are all the constraints that we face on a daily basis.
Dr. Koffa, what is the impact? Yeah. I know, it should appear obvious, dirt, but what is this trash doing? What negative impact is it having?
It has a very serious negative impact, and all it produces a public health threat. Because when the organic gas will begin to decompose, the chemical reaction that takes place produces what we call leaches. And those leaches, when they produce such leaches, it have an impact to our surface and underground water system. And most of our people use the water to drain, and they don't even filter it or purify the drink. And that's why, according to World Health Organization, over 65% of the illnesses in Liberia are environmentally related. So how can one express that further? And I understand the frustration my colleagues have expressed, and thanks to Ansu and Fubbi for what they are doing. But this conversation been ongoing for decades. The trash ban in the streets of Monrovia from one administration to another administration. Something has to be done, because the population in Liberia, you can't decrease it. Instead, it will increase. And the more they increase, the more it happens. And so what we are saying, what can we do as a coalition. I understand the business aspect of it now, where we're talking about recycling and the way Ansu is saying. Ansu is absolutely right. There is money. We got companies around here that can turn those dump sites into renewable energy and other compost material that can build homes. But the government, we have a system in place that we have a government. You can pass, Liberia has some of the best laws, but the weaknesses that Liberia have is the lack of enforceable mechanism. These laws are there. EPA is now enforcing most of these laws. That when people are taking the trash and dumping it, and you don't enforce the law, I don't care how much you do, nobody will care. So it has to begin with some form of education. And this is why AEW wants to come in to say, look, we want to work with you. We want to create education. I keep stressing education is very, very important. One time we did a survey in Monrovia to ask who all know if there's an EPA in Liberia. And less than 30% do not even know there is an agency called EPA. When you ask them about national disaster emergency, less than 5% know about that agency. But that's an agency that's supposed to be responsible for all the disasters that are going on in Liberia. And there are plenty of them that are happening now every day. The flooding, the fire, the other stuff going on. But these agencies are there, they don't have the capacity, and some of them are just dormant. The issue is, are we going to wait until everybody in Liberia gets sick and die? Because it is an unfortunate thing that is happening. When the air the president breathes is not different from the air any other human being in Liberia breathe. The only advantage he has, he and his colleagues and the other official government, when they get sick, they travel outside Liberia to go get killed. When the masses are there dying from preventable diseases or curable diseases, what we are saying, and I'm appealing to Ansu with the kind of brilliant idea he has, and also Fubbi, is that look, why don't we come together and let's tackle the trash situation in Liberia, and we engage the government. Let this be an issue of urgency that we must do now. Because you know what? I keep telling my colleagues here, I say for every remittance you send to Liberia, half of it go to that place, half of it go for hospital costs. It is either for typhoid, it is either for malaria, or either for some other diseases. And those are all environmentally related. We are proposing here that we want to march onto Liberia to begin to clean that trash from the street. So what we did was, we have written letter to the EPA executive director, to the mayor of the city of Monrovia, to the mayor of Peaceville, because these are urban cities that are generating most of the trash. We want to get, because those trash are not even good for investors. It doesn't attract anybody to go invest in Liberia with that kind of trash. And the images are so terrible. And so we want to work together. We are asking all of you here and beyond, let's come together, let's form something. There are over 300,000 or maybe 500,000 Liberians living in the United States and somewhere in Canada. If the way Ansu is saying, the strategy Ansu has, if each and every one of us can even collect $5 a month and put it together, some of the problems that we depend on the government to face for our people, we can do it ourselves. But it has to take trust. It has to take honesty. We should be able to convince them for accountability and transparency. Don't blame them. They got all reason to say, you know what, how can I make contribution, even at $1 set, when there's no transparency? And we have to create that frame of mind to convince them that, look, there is a way we can do it and it can work. But we have to help our people. There's no option.
Thank you. And so still on the impact of the negative impact of this trash, what is causing? Does the ordinary person understand that, or how do we communicate that message?
Okay, let me say this to you. And these reports are coming from the World Health Organization, UNICEF. These are the reports they release of the consequences of poor sanitation. And you say, how I want people to understand this. Every single year, dirty water, you got to understand, 80 to 85% of people that live in Monrovia use well water. And Fubbi was talking about the clogs and the drainages. Now, every time it rains, there's a lot of overflow. It goes into people's wells. I want you to understand something. Cholera, diarrhea, dysentery, hepatitis B, typhoid, polio. These are all consequences of poor sanitation. They are waterborne diseases. It is very rampant in Liberia. But let me tell you the true consequence to poor sanitation. And most people think is, oh, they play dirty, they play smelling. But these are the true consequences. Number one, everybody know this one. human well-being. In fact, people in Liberia are sicker than most people around the world. Our life expectancy in Liberia is between 56 and 60 years old. The rest of the world is pushing 80 years. These are consequences of poor sanitation. Basically, what that means is we die sooner because our place is dirty. That's one factor. It stagnates social and economic development. Dr. Koffa just spoke to, look, if I have my operation, why would I take it to Liberia in a filthy place? So the reason why we are not growing as a society economically is because of poor sanitation. There are direct consequences of poor sanitation because nobody's going to take a business to a place that is filthy, that is not properly regulated, and risk being sick. Number three, it increases anxiety. So people get sicker quicker because the place is dirty, not because just of the dirt, but because they're thinking about it there and the filth in the country. Every time I go to Liberia, I will get sick. When you first get to Liberia, the first 2 weeks, you're going to get sick because the air is very dirty. Okay, it will take a system some time to readjust. I'm not saying Liberia, but I'm telling you factual things. This is not a job at Liberia. Number three, and most people may not understand this, it actually increases the likelihood of sexual assault. Poor sanitation does. People say, oh, how? Go to West Point. The chances of having a woman raping West Point, red light, Dualu market, is 3-4 times higher than the rest of the country. The reason being because the place is there. People mind are conditioned to behave certain way when they're in a filthy environment. This is a UNICEF report from the World Health Organization, and it decreases educational opportunity. Dr. Koffa spoke about that as well. When a place is filthy, because economic activity has been denied, what happens next is there are less schools because people are sicker. When people are sick in an environment, they cannot reach their full potential. They cannot self-actualize. So there is no growth happening in the country. Look, John, my 3 children were born here in America. This is an example. It's not to put anybody down, I'm giving you real numbers. Their growth is much higher than a child who was born in Sanlo County because they have stunted growth. There is a reason, there is a correlation. Sanitation has a role to play in that. There are conditions that are being explained. The reason why we are in this position, the reason why there's an increased risk of sexual assault in Liberia, sanitation plays a part. The reason why there are no jobs in Liberia, sanitation plays a crucial role. The reason why the likelihood. Now, there was a number run by the UNICEF organization in Liberia. They had a thing called World Toilet Day, and I went to this thing. There was a statistic released. And what they did was they tried to make people understand these basic statistics. Every single day in the third world, we die. About 6,000 people die due to poor sanitation. Every single day. And the way they came up with that number is, okay, let's take, for example, in the third world, and we know we're a third world developing country. If 3 persons die for every 1 million people, let's use our own Liberia. We have approximately 5 million people in Liberia. That means every single day, 3 times 5 is 15. There is a possibility that we lost 15 Liberians every single day due to poor sanitation. So the consequences of poor sanitation, it is not just dirty food. It is everything. In fact, there is no development in the history of mankind that impacts the society better than adequate sanitation. For you to grow, there must be a foundational establishment of sanitation for the city to grow. There are a lot of reports from London. In fact, there was a period in the 1600s. The people in London were worse than Monrovia until they faced their sewer systems. This is a very serious issue. And people say, look, I want to say this because Liberians are very easy to twist people's words. The government of Liberia will spend no money if they're just willing. But one thing I've learned in Liberia for almost 10 years doing business in Liberia, if the government does not have a stick inside something, they don't care about it.
That doesn't work.
For the government, you come up with $2 million for the first 3 years, those money will be 100% refunded back to you. It's explained in our proposal. Look, in my proposal, my projections, if we are just successful at 25%, we will generate nothing less than $10 million a year in the city of Monrovia. The current budget allocation for trash collection in Monrovia is less than $1 million. John, we are messing with serious issues. There could be an epidemic outbreak, cholera, diarrhea outbreak in the city that will kill more people than Ebola. People think it's fun. People say, oh, Opa, you and the trash bin. This is the only thing I care about in Liberia. I'm not a politician.
Thank you. Thank you. Fubbi, you are in the country and you travel, right? If you visit, as you go around, my first question is, do people actually realize that the place is dirty and that's a health hazard? Do people really know that?
it's funny, you know, some people realize that, or some I think they don't care
No
because
James in Africa, right?
yeah, no Jamie Africa. I can remember there are some times that I've been to some of these dump sites and try to highlight the issue, and people will come out to kind of insult me
Yeah.
for raising the issue about the dike being there. And I tell them, I
Yeah,
say, you live here, I don't live here.
yeah.
So you live right side of the dike, the flies, the stench, everything with you. So I'm only bringing government attention to make sure that you breathe a better air, so that the mosquitoes don't harass you in the night,
Yeah.
so that your at least the rats and roaches don't crawl on your dishes and your food to prevent you from getting sick. And you get vexed with me, then something must be surely wrong with you.
Yeah.
You know, people get vexed because sometimes the way I approach it, like the city mayor launched a campaign called "We Are for a Clean City." But when you pass around the city is dirty. So I rephrase it from we are for clean city to we are for dirty city. And they got vexed. I said, no. If you want to attach the president's name to a campaign, you
Mhm.
must make sure that you uphold a campaign. You cannot attach the president's name to a campaign and don't ensure that it works. So we'll rephrase it so that it will put you under pressure to ensure that you get it working. And that was a serious pressure for them. And then at the end of the day, they started to succumb. Initially, they will start causing me, but after I didn't back off, as the insult, sometimes I also fire them right back the same way. So they realized that they were also getting their own, they were being served their own meal. So they couldn't continue that route. So we had to also now come to say, look, we had to just clean it on schedule. And once they started doing that, I slowed down on putting it under pressure because I saw that now they have at least had a routine, and there are areas now I can tell you for a fact that if you go today, you will not see garbage there because of the pressure that we put on them. And those were some of the success that we get. But people actually, some people don't care. They sit right side those things, they breathe them, they eat side them, and they just think that it's normal to do them. But there are others that also appreciate that when we raise those concerns, they come and say, thank you for raising this thing. At least you are calling their attention. And once they go to clean, they come in and say, oh, thank you. The guys came there to remove the garbage.
Well, Fubbi, let's be honest. The person who sucks the orange and throw it anywhere in the street is not government.
No,
To what
job.
extent?
That argument is a
Let me
lie.
finish. Let me finish. To what extent are citizens themselves responsible for the field and the way the city is being swallowed up by garbage?
Yeah, no, like I said earlier, unlike I think Dr. Koffa said it right. People are not being punished for certain things. The enforcement of the law, is not working. So because of that, Liberia is not looking for executing or enforcing policies that they have on the book, that we have on the books. And also, there are not many garbage bins along the street that you say, if I walk every 5 or 10 minutes, I will find one garbage bin to be able to drop my waste. So because of that, if the guy sucks the orange, he will not want to keep it in him for long. So if you cannot find a garbage bin to put it in, he will definitely drop it on the street. So those are some of the reasons. But we still have to keep raising the consciousness. Sometimes in the taxi, people eat something or drink water, suck food, suck oranges, and want to throw it through the window. Sometimes we tell the guy to drop it in the car. Because when you drop it in the car, the taxi driver will reach to a point that you have to clean his car, and he can be able to collect all the waste that you have in his car instead of throwing it on the street. So we just have to keep the education part of it, and that's another strong point that Dr. Koffa stressed. The education, you got to keep it going at every point on the radio, in the communities, and when you just educate people, you also have to provide the facilities so that they make use of them. And also follow that up with also punishment for violation. That way you have things working together. But if you're not providing the education, you're not providing the facilities, and you're also not providing punishment, at the end of the day, everybody will do it the way they want. At the end of the day, we all end up in the mess, and we all got to face the hard reality of living and being broken down with illness or any kind of outbreak that will come up as a result of the garbage.
Mr. Dualu, you wanted to come in 30 seconds before I
you said, the people, to what extent that people should be personally responsible. At no point should we ever deny people personal responsibilities. But John, when you left here, when you left Massachusetts, you went somewhere. And Fubbi already mentioned that. The government provided an avenue to make sure that doesn't happen. There is a consequence attached to that. And what Liberia has done, they negated their responsibility in the leadership of the country. People would behave certain way until that behavior is addressed in a fashion that civil society wants. Until that is done, you have to understand we have a very highly illiterate population. Okay, and if you want to reorient that population, there must be consequences attached to the rules and regulations that govern that location. The government has to play a part before people can have the consequences brought onto them. So I don't like to put the blame on the people because the government is not playing her part. When the government plays her part, then the blame falls on the people. Is the argument I want to make.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Dr. Koffa, I'm from here. We don't see the level of dirt in the city compared to the interior. People clean their homes. I know population may be responsible, but what other factors are responsible for the inner city being, so infested with garbage, with filth, compared to the rural areas or even the counties, the rest of the counties?
Yeah, those are the rural areas. When you talk about urbanization, that is the increase of population where people have purchasing power. Because in order for you to generate trash, you must have purchasing power. You must purchase in order to generate trash. And so in the city area, which is the urban area, these trash are collected. And one of the issue also has to do with population is that when the city is designed to hold 5,000 people and you put 3 times that amount, you create even bigger problem. One thing that I noticed in Liberia, there's no permitting system except for huge building. For whom people are building, public works and EPA do not ask for permit. So erosion and settlement control and stormwater management is all over the place. The homes are congested. Anybody can get in and take a shovel and dig a hole and build a zinc shack and call it a house. So as a result, there's a cluster. Some people build on drainages. So they run off when it rains, they run off that's supposed to go into the drainage and then find an affluent outside. It never happened because it's clogged. So the problem is bigger. Liberia, especially Monrovia, need to be redesigned. If we actually want to have a sustainable environmental city, that city need to be redesigned to depopulate the city, because that city was built for 450 1,000 people or 500, but it's now, however, pretty close about 1.5 million people. Now, Peaceville, which is bigger in size than Monrovia, it holds about 400,000 people. These are the major urban cities now that are creating this trash pile. Red light for the past 10 years. In fact, St. Judy Bryant Town, red light been having trash, and they stay there. No one has solved that problem. The issue of regulation is very important, Jah and my colleagues. It is very important. No country survives if you can't keep your rules and regulation intact. There was no agreement that has no enforceable mechanism is useful. There has to be some law in place, and the laws must be enforced. And Ansu is right. You can't tell somebody don't go and urinate or defecate on the beach when you have not put in place a sanitary tank or somewhere for them to use. It's the same argument that I normally have with my colleague. People want to move the people from the forest, tell them not to go and cut the trees. They will not kill the monkeys to eat, but this is the only source of income for the people. If you're going to tell them not to do it, then what option B do you have?
Yeah.
You understand? And so the problem is convoluted, it's complicated, but we have to deal with them on a semantic basis. Let's deal with the current, provocative trust issue, which has now reached a point of epidemic. Let's deal with it. Look at red light. Look at these are live pictures over there I can see. The trash is there, and our people, like all my colleagues have said, our people are dying. They are dying slow death. What can we do to help them now? And I don't think anything wrong for us to engage the government and say, look, government, we want to come and help you. But let's sit down and have a conversation. Because your constituencies are the ones that are suffering and dying. And it also goes not only to the government alone, but the other politicians.
Yes.
I can see most of their platform. Now, 1/3 talks about the environment, you know.
You
But these are people who want to.
you preempted my question to Fubbi as a politician.
Okay,
Don't
then I take it back.
don't put Fubbi in anything. Fubbi hasn't had any power to do anything.
But I will come to that. I want you to take a short break, get a bottle of water. What we come back, what we talk about is the politician, what's in their platform. The government, the current government has no plan to collect the trash. The people who want to replace the government, what are their plans to clean the city? Also, who are the people responsible? We have the EPA, the Environmental Protection Agency. We have the Environmental and Occupational Health Department of the Ministry of Health and Social Welfare. We have the Ministry of Public Works. We have Lands and Mines. We have the Monrovia City Corporation, National Environment Policy Council, and all these people.
And the National Disaster Emergency Management.
Right.
What are the budget? You got to also factor that. What are the budgets?
We're going to take a short break and be right back.
Yes.
Welcome back. If you are just joining us, this is Focus on Liberia. We are discussing about the garbage issue in Monrovia and the surrounding cities. My guest, Mr. Fubbi Henries, joining us from Monrovia. Dr. Maurice Koffa, joining us from the nation's capital, DC area. And Ansu Dualu, joining us from our old city of Lowell, Massachusetts. Gentlemen, we have, let me see, when I was preparing for this interview, I was researching, there's a very good article written entitled Rethinking Sustainability, a review of Liberia's municipal solid waste management system, status and challenges. And there is a table there that is, say, who is responsible to do what? I want to see if you can see that clearly. I want to put that on the screen. In that, we have the Environmental Protection Agency. That's for the management of the environment and to coordinate, monitor, supervise, and consult with relevant stakeholders on all activities relating to the protection of the environment. We have the Environmental and Occupational Health Department at the MOE. That group is responsible to assess the environmental health of the population, thereby conducting sanitary inspections to evaluate compliance with public health in the area. We have the Monrovia City Corporation, responsible for carrying out city ordinances, management of municipal waste, recreation, public education, and so forth and so on. When you are in the city, are these people doing their job?
If they were doing a job, we'll not be discussing what we're discussing here.
And why is that?
There are several factors. One would be budgetary support, because most of the time that's what they complain about. When you ask them, they tell you no money, or we don't have the facility, we don't have trucks, we don't have this other one. Some of them also will be willpower.
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah, somebody call you.
Those entities will just fee for some. They don't care. So that's what we do. You also have a don't care attitude towards doing the job. And, so there are several factors that we can all put together to see that.
For me,
private party also holding them accountable, because sometimes if you are in a group relationship with your boss, and whatever you do and your boss doesn't penalize you for it or he keeps you on the job,
Fubbi,
I
can you
think
hear
it will
me?
also give you room to think that you can do it anyhow. But if you were being dismissed, for example, not doing their jobs, you will find that
Fubbi,
they will
Fubbi,
have to, they will definitely say, if you pass
Fubbi,
it, if
Fubbi.
the person that pass it around and see the city
Yeah,
mayor
somebody
will
call him. That's why.
maybe they
yeah.
can suspend the city mayor for 1 or 2 months. The next person that we want to take that job will return from a suspension. You will see that the city will be actually clean. But nobody doing it. The EPA guys pass it around, people building the swamp, people building the waterways,
Fubbi, can you hear me?
and all of these things are issues.
Okay, Fubbi, you can adjust because we can't hear you clearly. Somebody call you, so you can just drop up and come back in. Maybe it will be
Hello?
okay. Uh, Dr. Koffa, we saw all
Yeah.
the proof, what they're supposed to do. I mean, it's a beautiful, document of what they're supposed to be doing.
Mm-hmm.
What's going on here? Why are they not working and nobody's getting punished?
The people are now working in coordination. Everybody wants to toot their own horn and do it their own way. And I have an issue that I've expressed to the former EPA boss. Even though they continue to use the buffer zone of regulatory responsibility, okay, you're supposed to regulate to make sure that these cities got their community clean and what have you. But if the situation have reached this level of importance, then there has to be a different formula that can be used. What's wrong with EPA breaking in Monrovia City Corporation, Painesville City Corporation, Public Works, Ministry of Health, and the National Disaster Emergency and form a task force to clean the city? They can do that. The people have to be creative. But no, the EPA backing or the EPA will see all the trash in the street and they say, you know what, it's now our responsibility. It is MCC that's supposed to do it. It is PCC that's supposed to do it. It is the governor of the borough of New Croydon that is responsible to make sure and do it. But there's a crisis on hand. Can you not do something? And that's never the case. So we're going to live, and because when you talk about environmental protection agency, anybody that lands in Liberia, the first trash that they come across, the next thing that comes to their mind, oh, but what is EPA doing? EPA does not have the capacity to carry out the necessary educational awareness. And EPA does not have the authority, so to speak, to go and tackle you. Say, look, if you do not have the city clean at certain time, we're going to punish you or do something or punish the city. Not him personally. EPA can do that for Monrovia City Corporation. So, what is the essence of the agency? There has to be some kind of a intuition that they can put in place to keep the city clean for God's sake and deal with the sanitary problem we have there. And that is the major problem that the agency is facing since the creation of that agency 2005 or 2006 up to this problem. Me, to their credit, they are doing certain things in terms of big company trying to curb some of the things that they're doing from their EIA processes. But there has to be more to it, and then the agency too is suffering budgetary allotment. The agency alone has less than $2 million a year as a budget. And I think it has an employment of over 150 person. And they're supposed to have substation in all the counties. $2 million not enough, if at all they're getting it. So they are struggling. It does not have the capacity. Right. And this is why they don't have enough money to carry on the education. And I'm stressing education. And even if we have to use the bilingual languages, the dialects, for people to talk. Before then, and when I was a little boy, I remember one guy they used to call Dr. Popo, if I'm not mistaken. He used to talk about environment, cleaning hand, washing your hand, taking your trash and putting it there. Those things that no longer exist. Right. We need to go back. We need to go back to that and do that. We have to educate our people. People have to understand what they are up against when they do not clean their environment. People, when somebody died, they bury them. Somebody died, they bury them right in front of their house. That is wrong. They continue to do it. Can somebody not stop them for their own good?
And this time, what they're doing is they're not even digging holes anymore. They're burying
No.
people. Okay, Dualu, you were in Monrovia with your company, and I think you interacted with these groups that we talk about: EPA, MCC, Public Works, Lands and Mines. In this thing, what's the vibe? What are you getting when you talk to them? Do they really understand what they're supposed to be doing, or they
John,
just yeah?
a government's budget reflects the priorities of that government. You have to see the allocations of this budget. I would just say this bluntly: the government does not care about sanitation. Look in the budget and see what's being allocated for it. Number one, that's the first thing. Okay, so there is no seriousness attached to the issue of EPA or sanitation or cleanup of the city. Number two, look at the people who are heading these agencies. Are they the type of people that should be heading it? I'm not talking about formal book. I'm talking about, does this person has a proper pedigree to run an organization such as the EPA? Most EPA directors around the world in every country has environmental training to understand what they're running. Certain positions cannot be made political positions. And, sometimes it's so bad in Liberia where everything is infused with politics, but certain positions they're too technical to be left to that chance. That's number one. You asked Fubbi a question, and you mentioned briefly politician. In 2009, 2010, I went into Liberia. My business was running properly. I had a contract with Metal Steel, and the U.S. Embassy was having a massive expansion. So things were going very well for me. And I contacted the Grand Bassa County Caucus. I speak Bassa very fluently. And I contacted the Bombay County Caucus. One of the bills I was trying to put on the floor, I'm not a legislator, but I was pushing for this bill. If Jah builds a house in Monrovia, he must build a toilet. I know it sounds simple. We don't have a law. People were billing, okay, let's say Fubbi get $2,000. He built one room. People rent that room. And what they would do is they got to poo-poo at night. They would poo-poo in plastic bags.
Yeah.
And they were throwing those poo-poo. So my politician told me, Dualu, we must enforce the law so you must get rich. These are the questions they were asking me. Look, what's wrong with a Dualu getting rich in Liberia if I provide an opportunity that changes the country, technical skill, employment, revenue to the government? This is what we should all want. But the point I'm trying to make is, our priority is not given to the issue of sanitation because it's reflected in the budget. I'm not going to call names here because if I call people, say, oh, because I try to stay away from politics as much as I can when it comes to the issue of sanitation. Look at the budget. Look at the allocation of the budget. You have individuals, offices, have higher budget than the entire money allocated to sanitation of the Republic of Liberia. Where is the priority? So you cannot even blame the people running those agencies. Look, I went to EPA. I don't know if you guys remember, there was a case, I believe it was B Mountain. They were polluting some rivers up country. And people catching this rash on their skin.
Yes,
okay?
yes.
And one of the arguments that I made was, I'm like, listen, guys, the EPA is a powerful organization. You can literally go up there and shut down B Mountain or whatever the company was, and you can find these people. They have to make sure they compensate our people, take them to hospital. My man, and I think they wait our hell. This is what we're talking about. People are taking jobs in Liberia. Look, I have a strong conviction. If you have not reached certain financial level in your life, you should not take certain government position because you're not going to be a free man. You'll be beholden to other people's. Unless you have this high moral conscience and you want to do something for your country. But the way Liberia is set up, most people in government cannot make more than $200 a month outside the government. So they will kowtow to the people in power. Look, if I can make my own money, do you think anybody would tell me anything in the Republic of Liberia? Even here or there. So we are facing serious issue. My biggest thing that I keep stressing, Jah, our people are dying.
Yeah.
The infant mortality rate in the country is heavily induced by poor sanitation of our people. They are dying. We are losing between 5 to 10 Liberian children every single day because of poor sanitation. Malaria, mosquitoes are everywhere. They don't pop. Look, I live Fiamma. Back in the 80s, Fiamma was a forested area. Fiamma is fully developed, but we're still dumping poo-poo at Fiamma. When the wind blows wrong, you can smell the filth. Winter, where I got my office, when the breeze blows, winter no longer belongs in our city. One thing I've just told the city, we have to privatize this thing. The government cannot run it. Because Dr. Koffa was talking about, oh, why don't they coordinate? The reason why is if the government gives City Hall $1.5 million for garbage collection and EPA got $160,000, they're not going to help City Hall. City Hall get all the money. What do you mean I got something myself? And that's the issue we're talking about. Some of the agents say they are redundant. They are redundant. Why are you creating? Look, the EPA, all these can be under the EPA. I'm a firm believer that the trash collection should no longer be under City Hall's control. Most cities around the world no longer put it under City Hall control. They subcontract this thing. Like we said, the government has to understand it. The way they do trash in Monrovia, the government cannot clean the city.
Thank you.
Because the government got $10,000 today, they move the trash. The money don't come for another 3 more.
And they put it right back.
Yes.
Yeah, so many things to talk about here. Fubbi, you are a politician, so I need not to take this away from. I knew I was coming with this one. 2 questions. To what extent does politics get in the way? You're doing a very phenomenal job. And look at the questions I'm getting, the comments that I'm getting on you. We have not talked politics, we're talking garbage. But here are some of the things my viewers are saying. After the beating, I just seen you, Fubbi Henries. Another one, Fubbi Henry, are you running again, District Number 9? I'm asking for my joker under the counter kitchen. You know. Another person said Fubbi Henry is a dead man walking. Everything in Liberia has been reduced to politics. Has politics gotten in the way of even cleaning the city?
Yeah, politics is in everything. Like Dualu said, the issue of budgetary support. Then you fund some organization, you fund some entity high, and you fund some very low. So you definitely not have the willpower to get things done. You also see people also will raise this issue if government try to take some hard decisions. Politicians will also jump on from the opposition angle to also score some political points, and in a vein of talking for the people. So there are several issues, and we can't do away with the politics.
Okay.
But we just have to, for the sake of getting the right things done, government needs to be proactive in setting up all that she needs to do. Me, I always love to tell people, we cannot have government scapegoating. Government has to be blamed for everything because government collect taxes to run the country. So the first thing falls on government. Then people will take the responsibility after government plays her part. But if government is not owning up to her responsibilities, government is not providing the facilities needed, government is not providing the opportunities for people to do these things, and government is not also giving the education for people to know that you cannot do certain things because these are all on the books that you have to do it this way. And the health consequences, even beside government punishing you, the health consequences to your own well-being. You also have to be in there to know those things. When you get all of these things done, then you can now start holding people accountable for not living up to that part of the deal. But politics definitely going to play through, or we can do it. We can do away with it because for viable reason, government will also play her part. The opposition will play their part because everybody wants to score some kind of points to gain more support.
Yeah, but
yeah, Mr. Jack, okay.
Before I come to you, and you can come in. Fubbi, here's the thing, right? Cleaning the city is a very good thing, but people look at you, they say, well, this man, he's doing it because he want to win election. So as a result, and if government support the effort that you are doing, it means you're going to defeat the government candidate in District Number 6. So have you brought this at the politics or your intention to become maybe to run for office? Has it also gotten in the way of the serious efforts that you are doing to clean the city? Did you bring this upon yourself?
No, what I tell the guys, when I'm doing these things, I tell them, I say, look, I'm doing this to also let you know in government that this is something that you should be doing. So don't see it from my angle of being a politician or my ambition to contest. There is no guarantee that if I contest 1,000 elections, I'll win one. So don't see it from that angle. See it that, look, this guy is telling me something practically. We are supposed to clean the street. We are supposed to clean the waterways. We are supposed to ensure that people don't dump there in the waterways. We are supposed to ensure that we enforce certain regulation on zoning laws. We are supposed to do this. So if we are not doing it and a private citizen takes upon his time to do it, it means that it should ring the bell that we are neglecting our responsibility. Let's start doing what we're supposed to do. So there's nothing wrong with that.
But are you doing it for political reason?
That's a passion that I share. And look, and the issue here, everybody got a free way to take up public office as and when they want. And I've always told myself that I have ambition to work in government, but I will only work in government if I'm elected. I will not work in government for a appointed position. I have told myself that. So if I can't get elected, I will not work in government. I will not take up any government job. The reason for that is the vision that I have. I want to feel free to execute my vision. I want to feel free to send my policy forward without thinking that if I say this, it might not sound politically correct to my boss and I risk being fired. I want to be able to express myself freely. I want to say, look, Mr. President, this decision is wrong. I will not support it. Mr. Minister, you have been charged with this and you are not doing it. I think you deserve to be fired.
Absolutely.
And, I want to have that freedom. And that's the reason why I'm contesting for public office. And plus or minus whether I win election or not, it will not stop me from doing what I think needs to be done. I have not won election, but I have influenced a lot of wrong legislation and stopped them from being passed from outside of government. So I'm not waiting to get there before I do it and say, okay, since I'm not in, let me just wait until I get there. No, I've also made some good recommendations. After 28 years, the pension law was amended for the first time in 2017 because I did a proposal for amendment in 2016. I'm not waiting to get in office before I do those things. When the government wanted to amend our law to make white people citizens and give them rights to buy their own real property, I said it will not work because we have not prioritized Liberians and we were able to stop it. Today we're discussing war crimes court. It has been a major topic since 2018 May. I led that petition. I read that petition, and we're still having a discussion on it today. And so I don't have to be elected to push the thing I want to push. The vision I have, I will keep sharing them, and that's one of the reasons why I go around, see these trash, I raise them, see the bar roads, I raise them, go into these swampy areas and do them and as I do them, I also tell the guys in government that look, this is a duty for MCC. There's a duty for EPA. There's a duty for public works. You guys need to own up to these things that I'm doing here. I'm only doing it in a small district. There are a lot of other communities that are also facing the same disaster. So see my example and see how you can also copy them and replicate them so that we can all help to relieve people from the hazard that we're living on a daily basis. And like Dualu said it right. Our air is dirty. You pass around the place thing or the dust all in your nose. And at the end of the day, what happens? We all get sick.
Yeah. I think if Mr. Jai would allow me,
sure.
I want to give Fubbi, give him a credit. Before I came on, I did a quick search. And the first thing that popped up was seeing the man in the drainages and area cleaning. How many politicians that are running or those that have been running all alone can even go that far to begin to clean in the community? Those are his constituents. And if he is doing that to prepare himself for political office, I don't see anything wrong with that. My question on this show is, what is it that the other potential political leader, what are they doing? They live in the same trash. They got money. They are campaigning to win election, to be president or to be senator. If you look in their platform, they have little to say about the environment. When last have they ever sponsored or cleaned up campaign in any of these communities? My question to them, what are they doing? Everybody is blaming, the government is not doing that. But sometimes it just takes simple little help to clean people communities so that they have good health live longer and be productive. And I think there is a clarion call to all the potential political leaders that they must be a part of this effort to clean Liberia and not only just run to be president or senator or what have you.
Mr. Dualu, have you seen any political platform with anything that have to do with sanitation?
No, no, but I have to
why
say
is
this.
that?
Yeah, because this is one of the issues that I have with the current batch of people that are running for position. John, like I told you the last time, I published an article called "Guide to Picking Liberia's Next President." I hope Mr. Henries can pick it up and read it as well. There are conditions that we must set. Look, I don't know why people affiliate leadership with knowing the person. Deliverable must is crucially important. And I want to say something about Mr. Henries. Everybody in Liberia knows he's a politician. If this man, the government's role is to elevate the society, if this man is contributing to the elevation of that society, what's wrong with that? You know, it is not diminishing the government in any way. And sometimes they feel threatened. And I understand where they're coming from because anytime somebody does something good in the country, oh, my mayor, be careful. They may run for position. I've been sold the same thing once in Liberia. But like Mr. Henry, he's in elected position. I don't want no job in Liberia unless they be the president of Liberia because my vision is brutal. I'm sick and tired of living in squalor and because it's not going to work. Our people must be ushered in the new era. There's an article that I actually wrote. It's called "Restart Liberia and Build a New Foundation" because we must start from somewhere tangible, somewhere that we can actually translate and leave to our children. But now back to the issue of politicians talking about it. Look, in Liberia there are priorities. There are 3 priorities in Liberia for every politician: re-electability, accumulation of some wealth, and name recognition. They don't care about nothing else. I don't care how you spin it. They don't care. Re-electability. So this is why sometimes you will see politicians will wait because our people forget not that they forget, but you have to understand, John, you're dealing with a highly, our people, look, if you go into Finna, on top of that hill, I don't know if Fubbi still remember, it used to be a rubber plantation on both sides, but they cut the rubber trees down and people are built everywhere. Our mothers are in the house some busting rock. And
yeah.
I'm building a 5-story 15 apartment building. I'm making an effort to buy that rock for them. Do you know why I do that? Because I don't want them busting rock. But no politician will stop. But wait till the election.
Yeah.
They will stop over there. Because it is just about that. It is not our people will forget. Not because they forget, but because they are so hungry, their focus is only on finding food.
On the immediate, yeah.
So they understand this. The reason why they don't care about sanitation because there's consequence. I had the health ministry only Ellen Johnson Shirley. When this guy, when I was very, very angry one time at the ministry, and they said, Dualu, why the people been in catch your house so much? Me, I'm living in beef and I was out there. I said, where you buy your food from? He said, I don't buy food. I said, who will buy your food for you? Oh, I guess somebody that can do that one. I said, where she can buy the food from? Look, you are now insulated by your position from sanitation. All inside the same box. Fubbi Henry like you can build 12-story fence around your house. You will get outside.
Yeah,
The mosquito look, there are issues people taking about phone. The reason why I get so agitated when I talk about sanitation because the solutions are right there. And we are begging our people, let Liberians come in. We can solve this problem. We can create jobs. We create our own Liberian factory. You don't need foreigners to do that. Look, in fact, last year my wife told me, Opa, honey, let's go get one white man. We put it in front of the business. And we tell you to, I was seriously considering it. You're laughing.
I know.
Because it has a higher probability of working.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Put it in front. I'll stand behind him like his bad boy. And then he will do all the negotiation. They will rush this man around to do this stuff. When we can do it ourselves.
I know.
I had that same issue. Let me come to you, Fubbi. You support you're part of a political party, the ANC. Does the ANC has a plan for sanitation that you know of?
Yeah, I've talked with various political leaders, and we have had that discussion several times. And at even certain point, we're even considering bringing in somebody to help with the recycling. But the guys didn't want to invest at the time because the climate in the country, people, there were a lot of pushback. So that's the reason why it didn't work. And but that's a plan that we have been discussing. I can guarantee you that 100%.
It's I'm picking on because you are here. And that's the same question for all the political parties. Because most of the time when you read something, they say, oh, we'll invest in agriculture. There is no plan. They just give this platitude. You know, the economy, sanitation, school, food production. Are there any specific things that I can look at and say, okay, when Mr. Cummings or Mr. Boakai or Mr. Cassell or Mr. Tipote, Dr. Tipote, if they get in power tomorrow, they're going to do X, Y, Z concerning sanitation. Is it anywhere else? And do citizens hold these people responsible or accountable to say, okay, what is your plan for sanitation before I vote for you? Or are we just being swayed by our bellies? What's your experience?
Yes. No, that I can tell you for a fact. The citizens don't care. And like Opa said, people are more or less interested in food during election period. So they are moved by the $5 the $10 that you give them, the 2 bags of rice. So they're not interested in your platform. So you will go and you will talk all the nice stuff. All they're sitting there waiting to hear from you is, now that I'm leaving $10,000 Liberian dollars. Then you see the claps coming up. I'm leaving $20,000 Liberian dollars. Then everybody clapping. Oh, I'm going to build your toilet. Everybody clapping. I'm going to put zinc over your market. Then they clapping. They all want to hear from you. No serious policy they're interested in listening to. And that's where the education will still need to push hard on educating people the reasons for which they go to election. Let them know that they're not doing favor for the politicians. They see it that way too. Somebody will tell you, a lot of times on our campaign trail, somebody will look at me and say, look, when I elect you, I will not see you again. So let me eat my own now.
Yeah.
So when each time I hear that kind of statement, I break down. And you know that you have some serious problem. That somebody will tell me that when I elect you, I will not see you again. Let me eat my own now. Even if that $5 said, let me take it.
Right.
Yeah.
And also you're selling cigarettes for $5.
Yes.
Yeah, from experience. And you know, and Opa stressed something on the issue of the toilet. And you know that people should build houses and with toilets. And I have said that every time I go campaigning. And that one project that I don't do. Every community I go in and tell me, say you have toilet issue, I'll tell you, I don't support toilet projects. Because I believe that when you build a house, you must have a toilet. Because you have to sleep, you have to have a bedroom.
Yeah.
You have to have a kitchen because you got to cook and eat.
Yeah.
You don't necessarily need a living room, but you need a toilet. So the kitchen, the bedroom, and a toilet, those 3 things must go with every house that you build. And that's how you solve some of these waste problems.
Yeah, and that's part of our proposal, the zoning law. Demarcating, even addressing system in the country, the poor addresses some building. All of that is covered on our sanitation plan because we cannot demarcate the city if we don't know what we're doing. We have to have a database. I mean,
thank you. Let me bring in a few of our comments and then we close within the next 10 minutes. Dennis Cotty says, what is the Monrovia City Mayor doing about the garbage instead of defending government in areas that don't cover his jurisdiction? You know, everybody has turned to be a militant, so no matter where you're working, it's a positive. Greer say, when system works, people will be compelled to do the right thing, period. And I kind of said this before, let me read it again. Fubbi Henry, are you running again? So Fubbi, are you running again? They want to know.
Yes.
Like I said, I still got political ambition. And Cecilia, let me let you know that I'll be a president one day.
Thank you.
Right. Abitala say, how can it not be about politics when some of these people are elected or are political appointees? So all these things will be political. That's what Abby is saying.
Yeah.
Popo King say, Fubbi Henry is doing well for our people. Congratulations. Dave Guy is my brother. He got a question for you here. He said, Fubbi, do you believe there is a reason why 100% Liberian be prevented from enjoying full citizenship? Propo King also say, I know good people when I see one. Fubbi stood for war crime and environment, but Liberians are not serious people. I reject that. I'm serious and I'm a Liberian. Ben Grant said, very good discussion on waste management. I'm an environmental engineer and I have lots of plans on waste to energy and eco design projects. He continued, one example is producing construction materials from plastic waste. I'm interested in working with partners and investors that want to work on such projects.
It's part of our proposal.
Good.
Jala Son Jala thought it is yet too early to detect emerging transition. There are signs that a CPP must just emerge as the next ruling establishment. Now, Fubbi, will you mind getting on board the CPP government to serve any autonomous agency if District 9 slips off your hands again? Retired African, that's the last comment for the night. Lack of leadership and patriotism. Paul Kagame of Rwanda is a patriotic leader that has resurrected his war-torn country. Gentlemen, 1 minute each, respond to our comment. Let's start with Fubbi. You have a lot of questions that are thrown at you.
Yeah, if CPP wins, if I'm not elected, I'm not going to head any autonomous agency. So that I told you that already. I will only work in government when I'm elected. And I will not work in government as appointee. And what I will, as I already said, I will contest again when in as much as I can. If I win, that's it. If I don't, I will stay, do something else in my life and try another time when there's an opportunity. I don't know what the other. There was another question
about full citizenship, that people are denying full citizenship. Do you?
Oh, I've always made a case for Liberians, and I support dual citizenship for Liberians. And I've said that, I against the one for non-Negroes, but I support 100% for Liberians because I believe, for example, my auntie lives in America. She's my auntie. Even if you naturalize as American, she's still my auntie. It doesn't change. It doesn't change that. And also, I support for Liberians 100%. But I think the politicians will feel intimidated. I always tell people I'm not a politician. The politician will feel intimidated by that. And that's some of the reasons why they push back. And that's some of the reasons why somebody will tell Dualu that you think we want to make that, we want to pass that law so you can get rich. Because the essence is, let's keep everybody poor, then we can be able to control them.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Mr. Dualu, there's someone say the same proposal you have.
Well, I just want to comment on what Fubbi said. Look, you have a good man. I followed Fubbi for a very long time, and I understand his vision, and I like the route he's going because the way Liberia is designed, if you are not elected into a post that you can actualize your vision, you are the whim of another man, and in many instances, you have to kowtow before you can get anything done, and nothing is ever done. But I want to say this about the proposal. It should not be focused on the proposal. It's about the solution that we are presented to the government. And even on Ellen Johnson's trilogy. Now, we spoke about Toilet a little bit. During my Toilet crusade in Monrovia, most of the government toilet around the city, I was behind the government, so we can run pipes on all those toilets and send them to our location. Somebody talk about converting waste. Part of our proposal, we'll make bricks from arches. There will be no more zinc house in Liberia. We'll provide shingles that will be made from the arches. Rubber chairs, all of those will be made right in Liberia from our trash. Even the sawdust, we're talking about ceiling tiles, etc. So all of this is part of this proposal. Our goal is to create jobs in Liberia, for Liberia. But on the issue of dual citizenship, I want to say this. I am not for having non-Negro become citizen until three things happen. When those three things happen, I don't care who becomes citizen of Liberia. Because as it stands, Liberia is not, we're not in the position to compete on an equal playing field with somebody who have a per capita income of $60,000 a year. These are my three conditions. Number one, up our literacy rate to 90%. If 90% of people can read and write, that's number one. Our life expectancy must go to around 65 because when it gets to 65, we are doing a lot of things. If the average Liberian can make nothing less than $30,000 a year, I don't care who becomes citizen because we have the economic might to protect ourselves. Yeah. But we cannot, every country does it. I lived in Japan for 2 years. Every country in the world have done that. You cannot disadvantage your local citizen just to appease. When you do that, you lose the country, you lose the culture, you lose everything. So those conditions must happen. But at the end of the day, we have to serve Liberia so this country can be better. We cannot leave Liberia the way it is. And I love Fubbi for doing this. And Fubbi understands his vision. And I kind of reiterate, I don't know how old is Fubbi. Fubbi may be 44 this year. But I don't know how old you are. Okay, so you may be your brother. But what I'm telling you is stick to that vision. And we need you because if that vision, you truly hold it, I believe we can change Liberia in some kind of a way because we can't be like this. We are not that stupid to be in this position we are in.
Dr. Koffa, you respond to those comments and
yes. I'm not ready to respond to the comment, but I just wanted to make a closing remarks. With all being said, I want to thank the two gentlemen for sharing the platform with me, and I want to thank you, Dennis. But we have a situation at hand that we must address now. The issue of the garbage in the street of Monrovia that must be clean. And so what AEW and Leaders Forum have started to do is to create a coalition of good minds to come together and raise money and be able to go to Monrovia and clean those part of trash that we find around every street corner. But the way we have started to do this is to first of all create an educational pamphlet with video clips where before we clean any community like the Do River and other things, we will educate the people in the community for at least a day or two. Let them understand what they are up against, what a clean environment can do to them, and what a bad environment or poor environment can do to them. Once they understand that, there's a greater chance that they will take ownership of their own surrounding. There's a need for us to do it. While it is true that government bear the brunt of the responsibility to ensure that our community is clean, the citizens themselves have equal responsibility to do so. I want to appeal to all Liberians across America, in Europe, everywhere. Let's come together. Let's tackle the issue of the trash to save our people, to salvage what is left because they are dying. AEW is in the lead along with Leadership Fund, and we have a GoFundMe. And we want to get to Monrovia in the next 2 months to begin, and I will keep in contact with Ansu and Fubbi. I hope by the time we end today, we should be able to share our email addresses, and so that we can all work together. We should open up to ideas because no one person has the monopoly of ideas to do any good in Liberia. You are all profoundly good human beings that are doing some good stuff from your own individual standpoint. But when we all come together, including Jar for this wonderful platform to discuss the issue, I think we can make a difference. And then we can move beyond that.
Ansu?
Sure.
Well, my parting statement is this: the solution is out there.
And so before your parting statement, you can respond to Mr. Ben Grant.
Yeah, if Grant is still on the show, after the show, I will send you my connect, and we can sit down. I mean, we can talk about it. I would appreciate that so much. But I want to say this: the solution is out there. The government just have to go ahead and embrace the solution. There is nobody in government all the way to the highest level who is not saying my proposal. I know of the 100%. And I've spoken to most of the guys. They all understand this. It was handed to them personally by me. And our people are dying. Also, I understand the government is short of money, but there's a lot of money out there that the government can start getting tomorrow if they put the right people in place. The Norwegian Fund, the Bill Gates Foundation on sanitation. You have to present these proposals from governments, and they have to come in to start this kind of operation. You cannot take the trash from Monrovia if you don't create an avenue to sustain the removal of the trash. It has to be self-sustaining. The government cannot fund this. Our proposal addresses the sustainability of Liberia trash removal, where we take the trash, we remove it because we want the trash so definitely. We will convert it into other things that will continue, but most importantly, it will create jobs for our people, permanent jobs. This is not temporary. This is not restricted to any government. But by the same token, the issue of politics should not allow us to diminish Liberia because the person who is doing it does not subscribe to your so-called political ideology. Liberia must always be first. Thank you so much.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Let me read a few more comments before Fubbi come in here. IB Tyler say, let the government do its job, and any volunteer work can be supplementary. The country can function on volunteering.
That's true.
Betaki Ezenanta say he said you can do everything, be like this other guy. And he's saying this guy built the island resort from plastic bottles in the Ivory Coast.
Ivory Coast, yeah, I saw that picture.
Rafael Sifa say, I like the topic. I'm an environmental specialist who works with the state of Maryland management. So guys, we got people here who want to work with you.
I know Sifa.
We also get Ben Grant say, great, he's here. He wants to get in touch.
Okay.
Mr. Henry, and definitely, Mr. Henry, you are a politician, you're working, we want to get you back. Here on Thursday, we have Tough Talking Thursday. Come and let's talk tough. But your closing
Oh
comments.
yeah, yeah. Send me the topic you're talking on. I don't mind. I can share anytime you invite.
All right.
So I'm always on standby. But I want to say thanks for the platform and thanks for sharing also with Dr. Koffa and Dualu. It's a pleasure sharing the platform. Most of the time, see your comments on my post sometimes. We can make money out of this. We can make money out of the trash. But I think I will try to also link you with I don't know where you met the pin the city mayor. She's very
I've met her as
proactive.
well. Yes, I've met her.
Okay. I will raise it with her again and see what she can do. Because she's been one of the persons that when I reach out to her about that in her area, she moves in quickly to solve them. And also I think she's more proactive than a city corporation in Monrovia. But we can all work around it. But let's all be focused. Like I said, it's about Liberia first. And don't
That's
feed
true.
me and you think that I couldn't let that because of political ambition. I might not win any election. So just support the art of cleaning the deck.
Yes.
So whether I win or not, the vision is what I'm sharing. So I want more co-vision bearer. So if you can catch the vision, use it in your own community. If you lucky to get elected based on that, fair enough. But don't see my action as simply politics. See it as helping to uplift Liberia.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much. And if you want anyone, you want to get in touch with us, focus on Liberia, or the guys that are on the gentlemen that are on the platform, and after the show you don't have, please always write us, focus on Liberia@gmail.com, and we're going to link you with any of our panelists. Our goal here, as we educate, elevate, and promote all things Liberia, we want to serve as that broker. They want to harness all the resources that we have as a country. We even have big plans to work on other projects because Liberia has all the professionals that any country has, including the United States. We have everything it takes. We are just working in silos. We don't even know. We just need a place focus on Liberia to pull these resources together and move the country. This country is the population is smaller than people that are living in Nairobi alone.
Yeah.
So this is a very small population. One city mayor can rule the whole country, So there are a lot of things we can do, and we have all the people that we need. We have all the brains, the manpower, the resources, except that we are now working together. So focus on Liberia. We want to be that platform to bring all our people together to solve the problems that confront all of us, because it is in our best interest that we make Liberia that place that we all dream of. When Liberia was set up, I always say this, the vision was to set up a country as an oasis in Africa. So that anybody suffering anywhere, any black person who needs freedom will move to Liberia. In fact, when our people left the Mali Empire and other empires around there, they were running away from this suppression from the kings. People, and today you look at Liberians and they kind of carefree people. It didn't start today.
Yep.
They left all these areas because they wanted freedom. The freedom that the ex-slaves sought in Liberia, it was not the beginning of using Liberia as that place of freedom. It started long before that. When the crowd and the men, the demand, the vibe, when they started walking, they were moving towards that place. According to what a historian, Dr. Brewer, told me, in fact, the place called Liberia today was kind of protected. That's why the slave ship, if you came to Liberia, if you are going back, if the crew people did not let you or advise you, your ship will sink right there, because navigating that waters was tough. So if people go there, there are too many shipwrecks around that area called Liberia. So if you believe, in God or some supernatural force, you say Liberia was set up as that place of freedom. That's why if you see us, we acting like this. We're not acting like this because people, ex-slaves came. It's because the whole establishment, from the people that came early to the people that came later, that is the ex-slaves, Liberia has always been a place of freedom. And we have the people, we have the resources to return Liberia to that state. where we can be actually the Lone Star of Africa. On that note,
Yes,
gentlemen, I want to
indeed.
thank you so much for coming and sharing your thoughts on the garbage. I know we have talked enough trash tonight, and we don't mean when they say trash talking on a basketball court, we are talking about trash in our city. We have to clean it because Dualu say he's going around in Liberia looking for poo-poo. Dualu, please keep on that. And
They
Fubbi,
used
I
to
want
call
to
me
thank
Boo
you
Boo
for the
Oba.
work. Yeah,
They used to call me Boo Boo Oba. Make it fun.
and let's do these things, man. It pays to keep our country clean.
Yeah.
We want to go back,
Absolutely.
man. This is our time to contribute, but we are stuck
Mhm.
here. We want to go back. I want to still go back to Bannersville on the OFI and operate my Honor 14 team,
Like,
and then and go back to Dudley Camp, so I can really be swimming in those creeks. But
That's
gentlemen,
right.
whatever your belief is about the country Liberia, whether you believe in dual citizenship or not, whether you believe Fubbi is cleaning the area because he wants job, or Opa is in this thing for money, or
yes,
Dr. Koffa want to be EPA director, whatever your belief is, we are all Liberians,
yes,
and we must do our
absolutely.
best to keep our city clean.
No, I think I support the guy who was there. Professor Tape is good.
Yeah,
He's
and
doing
on that
very
note,
well.
we want to end with that song that says, "We are all Liberians." Thank you and
Yes.
good night.
Yes, indeed.
We are
Like,
Liberians. Liberia is our home. Liberian people. Either you hate it or we want. Liberia. Either you hate it or we want. Liberia, Liberia.